What I will do if I become the president of a united Africa. This is all the list of things I would do if I was the president of a united Africa. 1. Natural beauty of black women restored. Black women shall no longer be allowed to wear straight European weaves or wigs. We shall shut down every business that sells these fake hair pieces to black women, or that styles or straightens them for black women. For too long, our African queens have been bound to hide their natural beauty. Now, from coil-like hair to rich skin, it is time for the glory of African heritage to be basked in. With their natural hair, black women will stand proudly to symbolize African dignity and self-respect, a true embodiment of the motherland in all its authenticity. 2. Churches and mosques will be replaced by industries. Abrahamic religion has been used to manipulate and control African minds from the very first days of colonization. We will destroy every church and mosque built to pacify our people, keeping us in the psychological dependency of our minds. In their places, we will have factories and industries pop out to employ our citizens. Africa will no longer be a land of prayer alone but a land of productivity, a place where we can produce, manufacture, and build for ourselves. The spiritual has taken center stage, and the concern is now with more concrete things, a way to create economic opportunities which will lift our people out of poverty. 3. Ban of harmful music and movies. Immediately forbid from our black community any kinds of music and movies that do not spread positivity, knowledge, and empowerment. Black artists and creators must take responsibility for the influence they have on society. We can no longer afford to poison the minds of our youths with toxic messages, degrading lyrics, and harmful images. The arts will be utilized to educate and uplift in order to send messages of unity and elevate our culture to heights of greatness that it truly deserves. And any blacks who promote and makes these type of harmful movies and music will be banned on all black media. 4. No LGBTQ/transgender practices are allowed. LGBTQ and transgender practices shall be prohibited in all African countries. We need to safeguard those ethics and values that have been the hallmark of African societies for centuries. Any person who indulges in or encourages such a way of life shall be liable to imprisonment for 5 to 10 years. We seek to ensure that the black family unit remains sacrosanct and stands preserved along with the moral fiber that has helped our people survive against all odds through several centuries. 5. Repatriation of non-Africans. All whites staying in South Africa and Arabs dwelling in North Africa are to be returned to Europe and the Middle East. For too long they have profited off the exploitation and oppression of Africans. It is now high time that this continent is ruled and peopled by its rightful masters, the descendants of the original inhabitants of this land. We will take back what's ours, removing from our soil the remnants of colonization and foreign domination. 6. Tribalism will be outlawed. Tribalism has been one of the most destructive forces within Africa, tearing apart communities and weakening our black unity. From henceforth, any black person found practicing tribalism, or discriminating against their fellow African based on tribe, will be sent to a labor camp. We are one people, and we have to act as one. The totality of our strength lies in our unity, and those that would see us divided will face the full weight of the law. 7. Restoring traditional names to African countries. These colonial names will be replaced with our traditional African names. The colonial names stand as a constant reminder of the humiliation and subjugation our ancestors went through. We now return to our traditional names. In returning to our traditional names, we get our identity and history. This should be part of decolonization of the mind, restoration of pride in being Africans. 8. Skin bleaching products to be banned. It shall be banned in imports and usage of bleaching skin products in the continent. Any black person who feels ashamed of his or her natural skin complexion, then attempts to lighten his or her skin, shall be put behind bars. The time for self-hatred is over. We are black, and we are proud. Our dark skin is a badge of resilience, a badge of goodwill, a badge of power, and any attempt at erasing it shall carry stiff penalties with the law. 9. Revamping African education. The aim is to completely transform African education system. No more will African children be made to learn about European history and how great were the people who oppressed our ancestors. Instead, the emphasis would fall squarely on great African empires, revolutionary leadership, culture, and achievements of our people. From the great civilizations of Kush and Mali to modern Pan-African leaders, it will instill pride in them. They will find their place in this world. 10. Abolition of European languages in primary schools. The languages of English, French, and Portuguese will be phased out from the primary schools. Instead, we are going to have African languages like Swahili and Yoruba taught across the continent to make us have one linguistic banner. This would give a greater sense of cultural connectedness between nations and bring us closer to true independence from any European influence. Our languages are the keys to our identity, and we must cherish them. 11. Visa-free borders for the black diaspora. Any black person with African roots shall be allowed to make trips to Africa without a visa. This land is their home, and now is a high time when the sons and daughters of the diaspora have to come back home. The doors of the motherland are always open for them that seek to come back home. In addition, each returning African will be given free entry, free housing, job opportunities, healthcare, and a $20,000 grant to help them kickstart a new life. This program will surely contribute to the relocation of our people back into Africa for the growth of our continent and the strengthening of our community around the world. 12. Banning of Western apps and media. We will ban Western apps and media platforms that have monopolized our continent. Like China, we are going to develop our own African applications and media to control our narrative, secure our information, and drive innovation internally within the continent. We need to provide room for African voices to be heard and African stories told without foreign interference. 13. Celebration of Pan-African heroes on currencies and statues. The faces of these revolutionary leaders who will be on the currency include Marcus Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, and Thomas Sankara. Statues and monuments will be set up in remembrance, with national holidays for those heroes who plunged into eternal darkness in the quest for the freedom and unity of Africa. These heroes have committed their lives to the liberation and unity of Africa, and their legacies will live in our hearts and minds. 14. Transforming Africa into a monarchy. I will make Africa a monarchy, and I shall head it because I am afraid another black leader might come in and sell our people out. On the other hand, I would still try to adopt democratic voting processes to stabilize the government. My children being taught Pan-Africanism principles mean that over the years, the legacy of unity and empowerment lives on through those children. Africa must be led by those who are committed to its true liberation. 15. Return of resources and artifacts. Any European country that has stolen African resources or artifacts and placed them in their museums will be requested to return them to Africa. These are not objects for them to keep in their museums, they are ours, owned by our people. We will take back what was taken away from us, recovering the treasures that ought to lie at the center of Africa. 16. Inclusion of socialism and communism. Africa will take some principles of socialism and communism to have equity in resources and ownership for the black race. Never again shall a selected few amass wealth while the majority plunge into poverty. We shall distribute the African wealth to all its people in a just manner so as to ensure everyone has food, shelter, health, and education. Implement these ideas, and we'll have a society wherein everyone works toward the common good and ensures for the black race that benefit all us. 17. Uplift black women's beauty and black families. Acknowledge and depict black women's beauty and the resilience of black families on all social networking sites in public view. Any black woman with a European hairstyle, such as a straight weave or wig, will no longer be allowed to model, post videos, or work in those industries. We will ensure that African standards of beauty are represented throughout our media and that our people receive pride and dignity with an accurate representation. The black family shall be the cornerstone in our community, commanded with respect due to their strength and vital role in our culture. These are some of the things that I would do if I were to be elected president of a united Africa. Destiny calls now for a change. For too long, our continent has been dogged first by foreign domination and then internal division and European imperialism roast. Under my leadership, Africa shall rise once more strong, proud, and united,